Hello Internet, this is a video review of the Davis & Sanford Pro Vista Airlift tripod featuring the FM18 fluid head. I decided to do a video review because I recently had to buy a new tripod, but I really wasn't able to find a lot of info about it, and I wished that I had been able to see it and put my hands on it before buying it. I hope that this video review will provide an opportunity for some people out there to sort of see how it works and make an informed decision about buying it. I'm just going to go over the controls really quickly so everybody can see. Starting from the top, this is your tilt, drag adjust, and lock lever. Here's your tightening lever for your quick detach plate. Here's the little button for the sliding balance plate. And right here on the front, we have a lever that controls the lock for the air-propelled center column. And then right here is the drag adjust slash lock lever for the pan. You have a bubble level there, so you can see whether you're level or not. Very useful. It does come with two handles, one on each side. For some reason, whenever I use both handles at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm in that scene in Star Wars. Don't get cocky, kid! This is the screw that locks that center brace in place. It's a bit cumbersome. This little doohickey slides back and forth through this bolt. So in order to tighten it, you tighten it half a turn, slide the doohickey, tighten it half a turn, slide the doohickey, and so on. And I could see that becoming sort of a pain if you're in the field trying to deploy quickly and get that shot. Honestly, that's really not necessary. Even with the silver doohickey completely loose, the tripod's not going to go anywhere. One other thing that I find somewhat worrisome, this thing is made of plastic. This is metal here, this is good solid metal here, but this thing right here, this part that attaches these things to this thing is made out of plastic, and I could see that potentially breaking. Now here's another thing that I don't really like about this tripod. This is the locking mechanism for the tilt, but here's the problem. This thing runs into this thing. If you try to loosen it too much, it runs into this little bracket that attaches your right handle. Now there's a very easy workaround for this problem. All you have to do is detach your right handle. This comes right off, you can throw it away, and your tilt lock lever no longer runs into it. Another sort of clever thing that they did was this tilt lock is sort of like a wrench that you can pull out and reposition. You can pull this out, pull that out like that away from the head, and you can reposition this handle without affecting the tilt lock. So if you do decide to use that right handle, which is attached right there, it is possible to use the right handle and use the tilt lock, but it's a bit cumbersome because to lock or unlock or increase or decrease the drag on the tilt, you have to pull this out and reposition it. So it seems that that right handle was sort of added on there as an afterthought, and they didn't really think it through when they were designing this thing. Now another thing that this runs into is this lever here, the tightening lever for the balance plate. It will make contact with that, but fortunately this locking lever does ratchet in the same way as the tilt lock lever. So you just pull that out towards you and you can reposition the lever without turning the screw. And by doing that, you should be able to keep it out of the way of the tilt lock lever. Or you could just grind it down using power tools. Okay, now let's talk about this air-propelled center column for a second. Here's the reason it's cool. The center column is locked down by this little lever right here, and if you just loosen the lever a little bit, it does this. Pretty cool, right? Everybody wants a tripod with hydraulics. That's sure to impress some people on your set of your next indie film. But here's the problem. Getting it back down once it's done that is sort of like trying to get a jack-in-the-box back in the box. You have to press down with a pretty considerable amount of force. I'm using like almost all of my body weight to get that thing back down. Not to mention, there may come a day when this pneumatic device fails, and on that day I will really wish that I had bought a tripod with a geared center column rather than a pneumatic one. Now, of course, the upshoot to the pneumatic center column is that it prevents damage to the camera due to what's called ride down. Now, we've all done that thing where you're cranking up the center column, you let go of the camera, and somehow you forget to lock down the center column, and the camera goes crashing down about 2 feet, makes a really loud, scary noise, and you go, holy crap, my $2,000 camera. That's not fun when that happens. With this, it can't happen, but you do have to deal with the whole jack-in-the-box thing, so it's just kind of a trade-off. It's personal preference. It depends which thing you'd rather put up with. And finally, there's one more thing, the weight. This tripod is not light by any stretch of the imagination. It weighs just over 10 pounds, so it's definitely not something you'd want to go backpacking with. However, that could also be an advantage because that means it's going to be more stable, it's going to be harder for the tripod to move and tip over with your very expensive camera on top of it. So, it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, it's just something to consider.